Hey, we're back with you all in the day of the life of yours truly, Jesse T. It's time for the Jesse T Show. We are on the road again. You know, every Friday, usually Dan the Man and I are out there somewhere in this beautiful Southern California, fighting the traffic, getting us somewhere so that we can have a great time kind of bringing you the hot spots of what's happening going into the weekend here every Friday at 5 o'clock. And sometimes we do some things that are really special and have some really meaningful value to them, other than hanging out at the La Brea tar pits or climbing mountains and chasing all kinds of crazy little things out there. Once in a while, we get the opportunity to really get with somebody that's doing some significant value in our world today. God's blue-green earth, and God bless America, the good old USA. We are here in an undisclosed location. Yes, it's deep in the bowels of God's blue-green earth, in a chamber guarded by Rottweilers and pit bulls and Doberman pinchers and German shepherds, helicopters, drones, and the Secret Service that we can't tell you about. It's time for the Jesse T Show with yours truly, me, Jesse T, saying hi to Larry McCabe's coming up. I wonder if he's any relationship to the McCabe and the report that was released today. Boy, I tell you, people just kind of pop in. I never know where I'm broadcasting from. But we have had this wonderful woman on with us, I would say maybe about a year ago, when that despicable person, O.J. Simpson, who lopped the heads off of several people, yes, that despicable guy was being released from jail. Yeah, he's been really quiet, hasn't he? Yeah, I think he knows it's his last case scenario. He's not going to be able to ever get out of trouble again. But this wonderful lady, she wrote a great book. She's an author. She's an activist for what's right in this world, and I'm so proud and wonderful to have her on the road show of the Jesse T Show today. I am introducing Cheryl KANE. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, Jesse. Thank you for that wonderful introduction.
You like that?
I love it.
$26.42. Okay, $10.03. Man, she charged a hard bargain, I tell you. That's right. But we're out here today because we've got a lot of things to talk about over the next couple of days.
I'm here as a one-woman crusade against hatred and anti-Semitism. I'm here to expose what people like Ilhan Omar are really like, and why she should never be in Congress, number one, and why she should certainly never step foot in the Foreign Relations Committee. It's a disgrace. She's an anti-Semite and a bigot, and I despise that.
Well, I don't think I could say it any better than that. My goodness, absolutely right. And I tell you, what Pinkalicious Pelosi did not do in Congress when she was her anti-Semite remarks and all that hatred that she was spewing out. Ilhan Omar, that's right. When she was spewing all that trash out of her mouth, it really blows me away that the Congress of the United States of America, didn't throw her out of every committee and really sanction her.
Well, Pelosi is afraid of losing her base, and the Democrats are going further and further to the left, to the point where I don't even recognize this country, which I love dearly. I was born in this country. I love dearly, and the Democratic Party is so far to the left and becoming anti-Semitic, and I despise that. And I've had a long history with working with people like Yigal Carmon of Memory, the Middle East Media Research Institute, which translates the Arabic media into what they're really saying in their own language, in Farsi and Arabic, as opposed to what they say in English.
Whoa. Now, let me stop you right there for a second. Because now, when you're talking about being able to understand that language or being able to see the translations right from the core, right when they're first translated, I've got a question here about that. The question I have is what they're saying and what they're reporting on in the fake news media, is it different than what they actually say?
The fake news media avoids all reference to the racism and the hatred in the Arab media, when they have been calling Jews for years pigs and monkeys, sons of pigs and monkeys, when they referred to Condoleezza Rice as a prostitute who was swinging in the jungles. They never reported that in the fake media here. The liberal press never reported it. It's been clear. Yigal Carmon and I tried to expose that as much as we could. We went to the the bureau, the foreign bureau at the LA Times, and tried to get them to cover more of Memory's translations with full attribution, and they refused.
Well, of course, the left-wing liberal LA Times, I mean, they refuse to do anything that seems to be telling the truth lately. It's all commentary and opinion on the front page, what's left of the newspaper. You know, one of the things that's happening to newspapers and magazines across the country is they're losing their advertising base tremendously because, of course, of technology. But I really have thought about this, and I think one of the reasons why is because they've become such opinionated commentary pieces of trash. They're not really reporting the news and both sides of it as a journalist would, and that's leading to one-sided type of opinions and commentary. And the LA Times, of course, I wouldn't think they would do anything for you.
Journalism went down the drain to reporting the facts to an opinion piece, and that's all they write. And their egos are such as they think they can get away with it, and they're celebrity journalists, and all they care about is their own opinions. Yeah. And about Yigal Karmon, he was a former counter-terrorist advisor to two prime ministers. When Rabin was assassinated, he was out of a job. He flew to Washington to brief the Pentagon one last time, and he said, "Gentlemen, your biggest worry should be Islamic terrorism, Islamic fundamentalism." And they just laughed it off and said, "Oh, you're just nervous because you're an Israeli." Well, that was the day he flew home to Tel Aviv, and as he was leaving New York, the first bombing of the Twin Towers took place in 1993.
Yeah, that was so far along. It was so, a lot of our viewers and listeners weren't even born yet. Like my daughter and son, they were just being born, and it's sort of a history that's been forgotten about the blind Sheikh and all the terrible things he was a part of. And that first bombing of the World Trade Center, it considerably did a lot of damage, but it didn't knock the buildings down. The thing about that, and here's the most amazing thing about that, is that this man who had been fighting this battle, this war, his whole life, and had inside information from the very top, reported this to the United States government, and our government just laughed it off?
Yeah, and then they told Yigal, when he was further briefing them, they said, "Oh, we took out boxes and boxes of material from this man they arrested from his apartment, but it was just religious material and it had nothing to do with the crime." And Yigal Karmon practically cried, "How can Americans be so naive?" And then he said the Western mind doesn't really understand such hatred.
I mean, and they were coming on the laurels during the Reagan administration of the destruction of the Marine base. That completely collapsed, and many, many of our military men and women died.
That was horrible, and it's continuing. And Yigal Karmon is self-taught in 7 languages, fluent in Arabic and Farsi, and he translated the media, first with the Palestinian media, which, you know, their school books start out with saying things like, if you kill 4 Jews, how many do you have left over? And that's just what they teach their children in the grammar school textbooks.
Now, I want to go back a little bit here, because what I'd like to do is just kind of review what you do. Cheryl's an author, and she's a research. She does a lot of research behind the material and the topics that she talks about. She's an award-winning author, and she has been inside government, inside with some of these very, very historic individuals, both in the Middle East and here in America. And so when she speaks about this, she's really just talking from firsthand information, and in a lot of ways has seen a lot of this, as she has been a world traveler going from Israel back to Los Angeles and to other places. And let me ask her this question: Why is it that people in Israel get it? They get it, but Americans don't.
Most people in Israel get it, except for the extreme left wing in Israel, which is a pain. And they're giving their beautiful prime minister a very hard time right now. It's all politics. This is the most brilliant prime minister you've had in a long time, and except for my beloved Sharon, may he rest in peace. But this is a leader that Israel needs right now.
Yeah, Netanyahu is fighting a political battle right now, but one of the things about what he has done, he has been such a proponent for protecting his people, protecting his country, and that is what our president is trying to do here, Donald Trump, and that's protect our country against not just the drug cartels and the illegal immigration, but what is coming infiltrated in that illegal immigration. And somebody like this woman, IHAN OMAR, gets elected to Congress because where she's from, there is a very large contingent of Muslim Somalis, refugees up where she's from. And that in itself is frightening, because under the Obama administration, it was like open borders, just come on in. And Donald Trump's trying to stop that. Do you think that we're going to be able to do that?
God bless Donald Trump, first of all. But what's really sad are the Jews who voted for her in Minnesota. I mean, please. And now they're saying, oh, we're sorry we voted for her. We were just trying to show how tolerant we were and offer an olive branch. Well, those are the kind of Jews who voted for Hitler in 1932 in Germany.
You would think,
because it'd get rid of the communists.
You would think that people, no matter what their faith or persuasion is, would learn from history that you can't lay down when terror is facing you, when evil is facing you. You have to stand up to it and say, it's not going to happen on my watch. Why is it that so many Americans of Jewish faith here in America are part of this Democratic Party that allows this to happen, especially what's happening now?
Well, I used to be a Democrat, but I came to my senses. And a lot of American Jews are assimilated, and a lot of them don't even want to hear about the Holocaust. I mean, it's just too painful. It's incomprehensible. And Michael Berenbaum, who's one of the leading scholars on the Holocaust, says to call something incomprehensible gives you permission not to think about it, not to talk about it, not to analyze it. And I had the great experience of being instrumental in publishing this book, Abiding Hope, Bearing Witness to the Holocaust, by Benjamin A. Samuelson, as told to Jeff Sheplovitz. Now, Samuelson was one of the last wave of Jews to be rounded up and taken to Auschwitz. He was from Hungary. He was taken to Auschwitz and assigned a job as a Sonderkommando. He was assigned to man the children's gas chamber.
Oh, boy.
And to escort children in lines of 5 to go into the gas chamber. And he had to witness his own 4-year-old sister being led into the gas chamber.
That is incomprehensible to me. When I went to Washington, D.C., when they first opened up the Holocaust Museum, my son was very young, about 10 years old, and I couldn't get past the first floor where they had the children's portion of the museum. And when I saw all those shoes, that was it. I walked out. It was overwhelming for me. And history is repeating itself slowly but surely.
1.5 million Jewish children and babies.
This IHAN OMAR and the likes that follow her rhetoric, there has been over 60 million people that have been eliminated by the jihadists, the fanatics of Islam. But my argument has always been that if you are a believer of the Quran, then you have to follow the Quran when push comes to shove. And they're using our Constitution right now against us.
Absolutely. And the Quran is full of blood libel. Blood libel, the Quran and its subtext. And one of the most offensive blood libels in the Quran to me is when they said that King Solomon had all of his Egyptian Arabian horses slaughtered because they interfered with his faith in God and his prayer ritual. And so he had all his horses slaughtered. Now, King Solomon was a brilliant king, and underneath the walls of Jerusalem, they're still unearthing the stables where he kept over 1,000 Egyptian Arabian horses. And he loved his horses. And he went to the stables every day, and he enjoyed these animals and what they offered to him in terms of speed and beauty. And he actually, in the Song of Songs, compared his lover. I have compared thee, O my love, to a company of horses in Pharaoh's chariots. Now, if that isn't loving your horse, I don't know what is. But the Arabs, who depended so much on these horses and revered them and were good caretakers of these priceless horses, they heard, oh, King Solomon slaughtered his horses. What a terrible thing to do. Blood libel.
Yeah. Yeah. We're out here today, and we're going to be going over to an event that's taking place tomorrow here in the Los Angeles County, LA City area. Specifically, it'll be over in Woodland Hills at a location which I'll be posting that up here after the show. It's all over Facebook right now, and Congresswoman IHAN OMAR is going to be showing up to raise funds for one of the special interest groups, Muslim charities, they say, and it's called CAIR. And really, that's a front. If you do your homework on that, that's a front there for Hamas.
Absolutely, and the Muslim Brotherhood. And when I was at services last Friday evening at Temple for the Arts, Rabbi David Barron did a moment of silence and talked about how terrible that the massacre was in New Zealand of the Muslims in their house of worship. And then he talked about how terrible that hatred and genocide is coming to this country in such an obvious way through the election of people like Omar. And he passed out as we were leaving cards where people could get in touch with Eliot Engel, Chairman, Committee on Foreign Affairs, and tell him this woman has to go. She has to leave the Foreign Affairs Committee. And he has to, he also mentioned the Prime Minister of Belgium, because they had that horrible parade statue with the Jews with the big noses and the stereotypes. Right. And Jesse, do I look like a termite to you?
Yeah, look, I tell you what, if you're a termite, you're one of the most attractive termites I've ever met.
According to Farrakhan, we're not just pigs and monkeys, we're termites.
Termites, man. And I know Farrakhan. I go back with Farrakhan 30 or 40 years, going all the way back to my radio, one of the stations I worked at, KANE here in Los Angeles. We ran his taped program. And the stuff that comes out of that man's mouth,
it's evil and sick and full of hatred.
I would roll my eyes, and it was just unbelievable, the stuff that would come out of his mouth. Absolutely. Let me post up, let me give a picture, and I want you to hold this. This is a picture of our esteemed Congresswoman. Yes, and you can see how lovely her smile is. And oh wait, but wait, there's a big red X in her face. Gee, I wonder how that got there. I wonder how that. Look at. I have no problem with diversity in Congress. That's what America's all about. But this woman right here, and her anti-Jewish rhetoric, which means that she just doesn't like anybody who doesn't follow the Quran and the Muslim faith and the Islamic Jihad. She's got to be taken off all these very special committees, and she should be sanctioned. Thank goodness she's only going to be around for a couple of years unless she's re-voted in. And boy, I hope not. But she's going to be out in the Woodland Hills area raising money for CAIR, one of a dozen fronts for the terrible things that are happening around the world. And there's going to be thousands of people out there. Would it be okay to give them the address of where this event is taking place tomorrow? Can I give that?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, let's do that right now. And if you would hold this for me, I'm going to read it here real quick. And it's a California rally against IHAN Omar. It's taking place Saturday at 4, but I'm suggesting you get here at about 3. Get over to the San Fernando Valley, the West End. It's going to be a beautiful day tomorrow. It's at the Woodland Hills Hilton, 6360 Canoga Avenue in Woodland Hills. I went to law school just down the street and around the corner from here. And the California rally against IHAN Omar. And there's tons of information online, Facebook, Instagram, that are starting to broadcast this out. One of the things that we're going to be out there, we're going to be covering this live. And yeah, me, Jesse T, I'm going to get down there right in the middle of it all. I'm going to be, it's going to be like a punk rock slam dance. I'm telling you. That's right. Well, maybe not that, but, well, maybe so. I don't know. I'll try to get myself in some mischievous trouble. But nevertheless, you're here. You're a community activist. You're an activist your whole life against this kind of hatred.
Yes.
Not just hatred for Jewish people, but these groups hate everybody.
I know. And they hate Americans. They hate the West. They hate everything we stand for. And I just want to add that another priceless book that anyone who wants to read about the Holocaust, my beloved fiance of blessed memory, Nathan Chappell, wrote this book. It was one of the first accounts of Auschwitz and what he was rounded up as a young Polish person, and he spent almost 5 years in Auschwitz.
Yeah, I had the fortune and sadness to Martin D Haas. He was a little boy when the war ended in World War II, and he has the tattoo on his arm of his number, and he's 95 years old now, 98 years old. And when I saw that for the first time, it was overwhelming, unbelievable. And we can't let that happen again, and we can't let it happen in this country. So come on out and go down to the Woodland Hills Hilton. If you are an American who doesn't want our country to be taken over in a quiet manner, because that's what they teach, conquer from the inside to the outside, and we have to make sure that we say as Americans what we feel about this.
Absolutely. And I just want to say I'm here recovering from knee replacement surgery, which I had recently at Cedars-Sinai Hospital with my very brilliant surgeon, Dr. Charles Moon, and my very wonderful internist who was taking care of me, Keith Ager. Thank you very much, doctors. And I just want to tell you the story about anti-Semitism and ignorance, and how I was at the rehab center of Beverly Hills, and there was a 94-year-old woman with broken bones, 5 children, and one of her daughters was an obvious anti-Semite. And the mother was talking about what great care she had at Cedars-Sinai. And the daughter said, well, naturally, you were on the Jewish floor of Cedars-Sinai. Now, I was trying to think, what's the Jewish floor? Is that the OBGYN floor? Is that the surgical floor? Do men have to drop their pants and show they're circumcised to be on the Jewish floor at Cedars-Sinai?
Well, I don't know about most men, but I might just go over there and drop my pants. That's about as close to loving that I'm getting lately. Yeah, I know, seriously. Huh? Isn't that funny? See, these are the little little nooks and crannies that this style of thinking infiltrates a society, and we got to stop it. So, hey, check out the show tomorrow. I'm going to be on live at 12 o'clock on till whenever this thing ends, and we're going to get a chance to talk with you some more tomorrow.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jesse.
And I did want to mention another gentleman. If you could grab that envelope to the right there, if you can. This guy is just terrific. Into the Light. It's a terrific, going to be a terrific film. This was about a man who was a boy, a young teenager and boy, and he was able to survive the concentration camps. He is Jewish because he was one heck of a genius artist. And what he would do is he would paint and draw the different Nazi SS officers, which would allow him to survive in the camp because they found that of value and cuteness and wonder. And there's a movie called Into the Light, and it's the Coleman Aaron story, and just beautiful. And I believe the director is who's doing this is whom? Yell it out. Steve. Yes, he's going to be doing this, and if you want to get involved in that wonderful film, is there a website that they can go to?
They can go to lowzpr.com.
lowzpr.com, find out more information, and we'll get some stuff up on that.
And he did my portrait, by the way. He did a wonderful job. He did a portrait of Ronald Reagan, which hangs in the... Coleman Aaron did the portrait of Ronald Reagan, which hangs in the Reagan Library. He is a famous portrait artist.
7 concentration camps. Wow. All right, we're going to be out. We're going to cut it off here. I've got to get out of the town here and go take care of some business. But thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you, Jesse. You're
Always
the
for
best.
you. No, you're the best, and you're just a cute little termite. That's right. Yes. Yes. You know what my termite guy used to say?
What?
He's an old Irish guy, right? You know what he used to say? When he had that long pointer, stick it in the wood to find the termites. So I looked at him and I said, you know what you remind me of? He goes, a needle-nosed bug fucker. And I said, oh, you guys can beep that out. Sorry, Lee. Got myself in trouble. Okay. But you're not a needle-nosed bug fucker. Okay, I just want you to know that. Love ya. See ya. Jesse T's out of here. Bye. Say bye.